Okay, good morning everybody. Welcome to the Cabinet meeting here on the 23rd of June. Welcome to everybody that's made it here today. If I could please take any apologies, Teresa.
Thank you, Chairman. So we have apologies from Councillor Sam Chapman-Allen, Councillor Borrett and Councillor Crane. Thank you.
Thank you. And the minutes, so the minutes from the previous meeting held on Tuesday the 6th of May, are everybody happy that they are a true reflection on that day?
Agreed.
Thank you. Any urgent business? I haven't been made aware of any urgent business this morning. Any declarations of interest, if we take them as they come along. Non-members wishing to address the meeting, there are a few of you here this morning, so welcome, and any questions, please make me aware on the selected item. Chairman's announcement. So the only thing I would like to reflect on today is obviously it was Armed Forces Day this Saturday, and thank you to all who joined us earlier this morning for the flag raising ceremony, a poignant tradition that helps us open this special week of recognition and remembrance. Armed Forces Day is a powerful reminder of the enduring debt of gratitude we owe to all those who serve or have served in our nation's armed forces. It is a moment to celebrate and stand in solidarity with the entire Armed Forces community, those currently serving, veterans, residents, cadets, and just as importantly, their families whose sacrifice often goes unseen but never unfelt. Here in Breckland, we are immensely proud to be home to one of the largest and most active armed forces communities in the region. Their contributions, both in uniform and in civilian life, are woven into the very fabric of our district. From Thetford to Watton, from Attleborough to Dereham, our communities are enriched every day by the service, skills, spirit of those with a military connection. To mark Armed Forces Week, Breckland Council is hosting a series of events and activities that not only celebrate this community, but also shines a light on the vital work taking place to support them beyond their years of service. Such initiative is here today from 9:30 to 2 p.m. Combat to Coffee, a social enterprise with a mission close to our hearts, will be stationed outside serving barista quality coffee with a purpose. Their founder and CEO, Nigel Seaman, a veteran himself, will be given a talk at midday upstairs to share his personal journey, the inspiration behind Coffee to Combat, and how the organisation is working to improve mental health and well-being among veterans and their families through outreach, training and support. I strongly encourage members and officers to attend if you can. And finally, we're also proud to be supporting the Commonwealth War Graves Foundation with a charity raffle running this week. Tickets are on sale after today's meeting. We've been overwhelmed by the generosity of local businesses, including Lex Leisure, Greenstones, Roy's of Dereham, the English Distillery, and many more who have donated some fantastic prizes. A huge thank you to them for standing with us in this important cause. Let's use this week to reflect, to give thanks, and to renew our commitment to supporting those who have given and continue to give so much in the service of our United Kingdom. Okay, item 7, Breckland Community Funding Applications. Councillor Ash, oh sorry, apologies, Councillor Banbridge.
Yes, Chairman, you didn't, you mentioned Councillor Borrett's apologies. I just wondered whether you had any update on his health.
I do. I'm sure he won't mind us sharing with him. He felt the other day he had a case of heat stroke overcoming him. It was a little bit worse than heat stroke. He actually had a burst appendix, which he's currently in hospital being treated for. They are hoping to be allowing him to come home shortly once they are content that they have caught all the infection. But he is in good spirits. He's itching to get back. He's texting everybody, so he's raring to go. But he's just under doctor's orders at the moment. But yes, he's on the road to recovery. So thank you for asking. Councillor Ashby.
Thank you very much, Deputy Leader, and good morning to everybody. With regards to the grants, as it's Armed Forces Week, we're proud to highlight the impact of our recent VE and VJ Day commemoration funding. to support local remembrance and celebration events. The Garbaldisham Recreation Ground charity, with the help of our grant, hosted a heartfelt VEVJ Day event that truly captured the spirit of unity and reflection. In their words, they said, "Our celebration brought the whole village together in a truly special way. Every generation contributed, from children's poems and handmade spitfires to wartime displays and dancing. The day was filled with pride, joy, and remembrance. It's a moment our community will cherish for years to come." This is exactly why Breckland Council invests in community-led projects, because they honour the past, bring our people together in the present, and strengthen the fabric of our future. In terms of our match funding programme, feedback from Age UK Norwich following their successful application grant last financial year said the following: "We are incredibly grateful to Breckland Council for supporting our later life companionship project through the Inspiring Communities Fund. This funding will enable us to reach more people in later life who are experiencing loneliness in the Breckland area, providing them with regular, meaningful companionship and a vital connection to their community. It's a lifeline for many, helping to rebuild confidence, improve well-being, and remind people that they're not alone." Inspiring Communities match funding is currently open. You can visit the Norfolk Community Fund webpage. The deadline for round one of this particular year is on the 10th of July. In terms of Household Support Fund, during May, the Council issued 97 payments, providing vital financial assistance to residents facing hardship. In total, it was 19,400 distributed to support individuals and families with essential needs. Additionally, one resident was referred by a partner organisation during the time, ensuring targeted support reached those most in need. This fund continues to be a critical resource for vulnerable households, offering a safety net during times of financial stress and uncertainty. In terms of the valuable Spark Fund, through the Spark Fund, we are pleased to support the Watton Stroke Group with a grant aimed at strengthening their community offering. This funding will assist the group in enhancing their services for stroke survivors in the area, providing accessible peer support, social engagement, and recovery-focused activities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Ashby. Any comments, questions on Councillor Webb?
I'd just like to say that all these funds, what that means to all our residents, we in Breckland Council do so much to support the residents that are in need, to help people get together for events, to basically kick ideas off the ground which result in real good improvements to people's lives. And I think we should be all really proud about this. Thank you, Councillor Ashby.
Thank you, Councillor. Okay, no more comments. Okay, item 8, Mattershall Neighbourhood Plan Review. So the Mattershall Neighbourhood Plan was first made in 2017. The Parish Council has now successfully updated and reviewed this plan, the first parish within Breckland to have done so. As with the original plan, the review has been subject to formal public consultation, followed by an independent examination and referendum. This report relates to the final stage in the process, which is to make the reviewed plan to bring the document into effect. The Mattershall Neighbourhood Plan Review was subject to an independent examination that started in October 2024. The examiner found that, subject to all of the policies being modified, the plan met the basic conditions and recommended that it proceed to the referendum. The plan is accompanied by a design guide and code that provides guidance and codes for some policies of the Mattershall Neighbourhood Plan. This design guide has been prepared with reference to key national and local policy and guidance, and builds on existing design policy and guidance including the National Model Design Code and Breckland Design Guide. The examiner found that, subject to modifications being made, the majority of the policies, the plan met the basic conditions and recommended that it proceed to a local referendum. A referendum relating to the making of the policy of the Mattershall Neighbourhood Plan was held on Thursday the 15th of May. The turnout was 17.1%, and 83.6% of those who voted supported the plan to help decide planning applications in the neighbourhood area. This was an excellent result that highlights the hard work and dedication of both the parish council and those who worked on the plan over the past few years, and I would like to thank them for this work, culminating in the overwhelming support for the plan. If Cabinet is minded to confirm the plan, then it should be noted that full council will need to support the required changes to the Breckland District Policies Map in accordance with the relevant regulations. I therefore ask Cabinet to support the recommendations and confirm that the Mattershall Neighbourhood Plan is made as part of the statutory development plan for Breckland Council. And myself or Simon are happy to take any questions from Cabinet this morning. Councillor Clausen.
Simon, what are the planning reasons for including Mattershall Golf Club within the neighbourhood plan, please?
So Mattershall Golf Club is shown as a protected open space designation in the Mattershall local neighbourhood plan. It has exactly the same designation in the Breckland local plan as well. The reason is essentially given its open use, where it sits within Mattershall on the edge of the village, and it is to protect that site from development, essentially. So any application that came forward in respect of the golf club and the protected open space area would be considered under our open space sport and recreation policy, ENV04, which seeks to protect designated open spaces. It's its recreational value, it's its amenity value, and it's also its visual and landscape value as well.
Yes, thank you for that. But as you're aware, Mattershall Golf Club is a privately owned facility. And for me, the one thing that I don't support is this is the only thing, and that's been the case since I first heard about it. Because, quite simply put, if we say yes to this now, that is going to have a detrimental effect on the value of the business. And I don't see that I, as a Conservative, should be voting to devalue a local business, a good local business at that. Now, the rest of the neighbourhood plan, I think, is absolutely brilliant. It's just that one line. It's only a few words, of course. And I really do struggle with this. I really do. Because my nature is to encourage growth. And that's the portfolio I have, for goodness sake. And that's why I'm here, is to encourage all of the growth within there and to make things thrive. And as we all know, businesses at the moment are on a knife edge thanks to the Reeves budget. So there are all sorts of problems, and that's happened within the period that this has been going through. So they are more, how can I put it? It's more difficult to run a business now than it was at the start of this process. So for all of those reasons, I really do struggle. I don't know if you could help me get to a point where I can support this.
So in terms of your first point, the fact that this is privately owned from a planning point of view, purely from a technical planning point of view, is not a material consideration in itself. You'll find that a lot of protected areas are privately owned, little or no public access to them. The fact that it could be perceived as diminishing the value of the use, again, is not by itself a material consideration, either in applications or in planning policy. Planning policy seeks to regulate the use of land in the public interest. As I say, this is also protected open space within the current local plan as well. What it doesn't do is it doesn't prevent them developing the land as a golf club or open space facility, and we've sought to work with them to do that in the past. And I'm more than happy to reach out and speak to the golf club and see where that goes. You'll be aware that we are looking to do our own Regulation 18 preferred options consultation on the Breckland local plan update around about autumn this year, and we are more than happy to speak to the golf club about that designation going forward. It's a bit late to include it through the call for sites for housing, but it would be useful to understand from them what their ambitions are for that piece of land and for the golf club itself.
Well, I can help you there because their ambitions are to make the golf course, well, Debbie's ambition is to make it the best 9-hole golf course in Norfolk. So that's quite a simple ambition. I don't think they're that far off of it. But nevertheless, I would like, Chairman, through you, for us to actually look at when this happens, whether it's a planning consideration or not. For me, that's almost irrelevant. Where we do this and it has a detrimental impact on a business going forward, I think it ought to come through this body so that we can actually have a really good input, because I think as a Conservative it feels wrong that I'm going to vote to devalue a business. It really does feel wrong. So I don't know whether it's something that we can look to do going forward. Not here, I appreciate, but this has been going on, as you're well aware, because Debbie's first letter was over 18 months ago, about 18 months ago now, that we're looking at. So yes, thank you for your replies, and thank you for your offer to go and to see where we get to. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Chairman. I don't have any interest in Matishall. I don't play golf. But I have a concern, and the concern is this: that we have seen, not just here in Breckland and in Norfolk, but around the country, golf clubs struggling. So when a golf club struggles, and Ramsden in that patch was one of them, ended up closing. Not because it was part of our local plan designated open space area, it just closed because there was no business there. And once a golf club closes, it's a considerable portion of land which sits idle. My concern is that if we designate spaces like that as large open public spaces, and the business folds for whatever reason, and it doesn't have to be a golf club, it could be anything really, it could be a country park that fails, I don't know. When we designate it as an open space, what does that do to the local environment? What does it do to that space? How are we going to maintain it for the objectives that the open space designation is intended? Because I can see we might well end up with a valuable piece of land which has potentially other opportunities, which then gets effectively stymied because they're not able to do any development in order to meet some of our other demands as a council. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Do you know, it's really rare that I would suggest something that I'm just about to suggest, and I apologise to colleagues. I had a couple of minor reservations with the plan as presented, simply because some of the pagination in the table of contents is all over the place, and it just, if we're going to approve something, we at least need to approve something without typos in it. And on my copy, for instance, the list of maps refer to page 1919 for map 2 and 3939, which I know are minor typos, but we should at least make sure that we can get these things right as and when we approve. I respect absolutely the process and the referendum that this plan has come through, and I also respect planning policy in terms of what's led to some of the conclusions that has been made. But in my own experience, I've also seen within the local plan attempts to designate open space that, should we say, can be manipulated by those who seek the designation to protect their own interests as opposed to something else. And I do have reservations about the golf club in particular. And what I wonder is whether we actually just defer this until a future cabinet, until those things have been resolved. I think it should be relatively straightforward. I think Simon's talked about a conversation. I am not happy in terms of where this plan, despite the fact it's gone to the process, on that one thing, Chair.
Thank you. Yeah, just listening to Councillor Clausen's concerns, which seem extremely valid, and if there's a possibility that we can defer to rectify the situation, I would be support that.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm not sure what the issue is that members of Cabinet want us to resolve. This is a neighbourhood plan put forward by Mattershall Neighbourhood Plan Group on behalf of the community of Mattershall that has been through examinations, been through referendum, and the community of Mattershall has accepted it on that basis. I hear the reservations, but those reservations are often the same whether you do a neighbourhood plan or you have a local plan, and we are here to ratify Mattershall's local neighbourhood plan to be used in our development control process, and generally that is a formality. I hear what the ambitions of Mattershall Golf Club are. There's nothing in policy ENV04 that would prevent them achieving those policies. And I make the point again, this is not our plan as Breckland councils, this is Mattershall's plan. It has been through examination, it has been through referendum. This is the referendum version. Very often it is a little bit all over the place, and we tidy it up after we have the ability to do that through the regulations that govern it. But I would caution strongly against deferring this, because as I say, it is not our plan as Brecklands to alter or change. It is Mattershall's plan.
Thank you for that, Simon. Yep.
Sorry, Chairman, just one very minor point after we got that. The actual Manchester Golf Course, as it's shown on the plan, brought to my attention last Friday, so I couldn't really do anything between Friday and Monday, is wrong. So although it's been through everybody, it's the actual plan shown on the map with the line around it is wrong, because if you check the records, part of the was sold off about 5 years ago. So that plan isn't accurate at all. So that's beaten the whole system as well, hasn't it?
But that's the area of plan that Mattershall have chosen to protect, irrespective of whether it's in the ownership of the golf club or whether it's in the ownership of a third party.
Yes, but that's now a private house.
Okay. So is there anything, appreciate the concerns and appreciate what you've said, Simon, about this being basically a formality around the Mattershall and the community's neighbourhood plan there. Is there something where we can get to a consensus that the concerns raised can be picked up and acknowledged, so that actually we can get through the process this morning of the matter in hand of supporting this? I think some of the concerns raised around from the golf club have perhaps come from it being missed by multiple people, the fact that this is already currently in the neighbourhood plan, the golf club being, and the landowners there being missing as well. Some of the consequence from that, what they have experienced as a business in some of the struggles, what they've had, we can pick, you've kindly offered to go out and go and see the golf club, so we can have you can have a conversation with them, they can explain to you what some of those concerns were. Is there a way that we can get to a consensus where we can pick up some of those pieces with those conversations through our own local plan process now, that it gives Cabinet some comfort that they won't be forgotten, they will be looked into, the typos and things can be addressed before, you know, it comes to council, etc. The business relations, we can pick that up and make sure that the golf club are content with what they're able to do. I think Simon has suggested as well that they've had planning applications come forward in the past, which we have in fact supported, even although the current site sits where it does in that, for want of a better word, restricted area. Are we in a place where we can get consensus that this can be approved, or is it still the concern of Cabinet that we defer the item. Oh, Simon.
Yes, just to try and help it along. I think it's worth bearing in mind that even if the Material Neighbourhood Plan isn't made, because it's gone through referendum, it's still a significant consideration in determining planning applications, and that won't change because of the regulations. We also have this policy within the Breckland local plan as well. So irrespective of what we do today with the Material Local Neighbourhood Plan, that will still apply and still be relevant. I think the discussion to be had with Material Golf Club is around how we take it forward through the local plan rather than through the neighbourhood plan. The local plan is something you as members have control over, and you can take those policies forward as you see fit for the communities of Breckland, and then the Material Neighbourhood Plan will have to reflect that when it's reviewed following the adoption of the Breckland local plan. That's my suggested way forward, Chairman.
Thank you. Oh, we've got hands everywhere. Robert, please, and then Gordon.
Simon has said this is protected by the local plan and the neighbourhood plan. I thought the aim of neighbourhood plans was not to duplicate policies that are already in the local plan.
That is correct, but it also has to reflect the local plan as well, and it's carrying forward those local plan policies to ensure that we have that consistency as well. It's a fine line to tread.
Yes, I have to say I came along this morning having read your the minutes for your meeting, quite prepared to add my congratulations for Madishall on the renewal of their plan, and especially as it was the first one in the district. I have always supported neighbourhood plans, as you know, from the very beginning. But I have to say that the spanner thrown in the works by Councillor Closen was very powerful. And I do think, as I'm not a member of your cabinet, I don't have a vote here, but I will have a vote when it comes to council, and it has to come to council. So I do think that the matter that's been raised this morning should be supported by the cabinet to be sorted out before it comes to council. And that's just a view from somebody who really has nothing much to say. Thank you.
I just want to reiterate the point, Chairman, that this is Mattershall's neighbourhood plan. It is not a Breckland plan. We've been through a proper consultation and examination process, and I don't think we will achieve anything by not making the plan today. This is something that we are now very conscious of, and it is an issue that we will take forward with the local members and with Mattershall Golf Club when we continue the review of the local plan. I think the appropriate way forward today would be to go with the recommendation and make the plan, because it won't alter it if we don't. It will just send a message out there that we're not supporting these plans if we disagree with a minor point of it.
Thank you, Chairman. And I think Simon's made some very valid points. If we recall, I think everyone in the council actually was very supportive of Mattershall. And as Simon says, I think it goes back to 2017, 18, or thereabouts, when they started this process. And of course, we have to remember that when they started this process, we had a different local plan in place as well. And I think that's the key here. I can recall when we started talking about neighbourhood plans, it was very clear that the neighbourhood plan had to sit cheek by jowl with our local plan. The local plan is the overarching piece of legislation which will determine the way development occurs in any district. And that's still the case. The difference here is that we are now in the process of actually reviewing our local plan and developing a new model compared with that which existed when this whole process started many years ago. I think Simon's absolutely right. This isn't our local neighbourhood plan. It is the community's local neighbourhood plan. And ultimately, when we do, as a council, agree our local plan, their neighbourhood plan will have to sit alongside it and not be in conflict with it. And I think that's the point Simon's been making. And as a consequence, I see that we do have the opportunity to say, well done as a community to Matishall. We agree this particular proposal, but always understand that our Breckland local plan is the statutory instrument against which planning decisions will be made. And if there is a conflict between a local plan and a neighbourhood plan, the local plan takes precedence, I believe, Simon. Thank you.
Okay, so, oh, wasn't expecting this first thing on a Monday. Well, we did, well, yes, tested me a little bit this morning, Phil, I must say. Okay, so we've heard that the plan we would have to give significant weight to, even if we do want to defer it today, it's still something that Simon and the team would have to give weight for. We've heard that obviously at a point in time when lines were put on maps, and this was included in the local plan and the neighbourhood plan, there has been some, I suppose, some lessons to be learned from what that means with regards to local businesses, which we are now uberly aware of, and it is something what we will ensure to pick up moving forward. Simon has made the suggestion that we pick up some of the concerns raised in our local plan process, which as members, it is our gift then to be in charge and to help go with the direction of travel with that with regards to the local plan. To just put a little bit of balance to the view, we have had a note in, Paul's colleague, Councillor Plummer, can't be here this morning, but he did just ping a note to say that he does fully support the neighbourhood plan and acknowledges the amount of hard work done by the council, the parish council and the residents to make some improvements to this current neighbourhood plan of theirs. So there is support for the plan, as well as obviously hearing your concerns about where we currently sit. But do we have some comfort given from what Simon has picked up, the suggestion made, whereabouts it would leave us even if we didn't support this plan today, that actually we can take on board the comments and the concerns what have been raised. We can go through the business of approving this today, make some of those cover off some of those concerns before we come to council and pick up the other bits through the local plan process. Are we content with that, or are we still got somewhere to go?
Personally, Chairman, I think you've reached a way forward, but I would just like to say if you and I could accompany Simon with the owners, so that we can then find a route through that everybody can sign up to, let's put it that way. That would be very much appreciated. So on that basis, I hear what Simon is saying. As far as being officer-led, I've never been that way, but I think you've made such a good case that I will support this, Simon, and I don't feel that is being officer-led at all. Thank you.
And thank you, Chair. Just in echoing that, and I mentioned earlier on, I do respect the process, and I do respect the referendum, and I do respect this community-led plan. I'm happy to approve the recommendations, but on the understanding that conversations are going to be happening and they will be in place. And my strong preference is that they are in place before this plan comes back for review at full council stage. And if I may, I reserve the right to change my mind on this plan at that time. But for the moment, I accept it.
Just to clarify that full council will only be considering the plan on the basis of making changes to the Breckland local plan maps to reflect the presence of the Matishall neighbourhood plan. I slipped back 15 years then, the Matishall neighbourhood plan. So that isn't a decision-making process in itself in relation to the content of the plan. I would also just draw reference to option 2 on the agenda under paragraph 2.2, which basically says that we have a very limited range of options in terms of objecting to the neighbourhood plan once it's been through referendum. However, having said that, I strongly recognise the reservations made, and we will pursue those with the landowners.
Thank you. So the recommendations are then that to confirm that the Matchall Neighbourhood Plan Review, as written at the time of the referendum, is made as part of the statutory development plan for Breckland Council, as required by paragraph 4A of section 38A of the 2004 Planning and Compulsory Purchase Act, option 1. Number 2, to publish this decision as required by paragraph 9 of section 38A 2004 Planning and Compulsory Purchase Act. To adopt the Matchall Design Guide and Code as a supplementary planning document. Number 4, to advise Matchall Parish Council and any other prescribed persons of this decision to meet the requirements of paragraph 10 of section 38A of the 2004 Planning and Compulsory Purchase Act. And finally, that Cabinet recommends to full council to amend the Breckland District Policies Map to meet the requirements of paragraph 9, Town and Country Local Planning England Regulations 2012. Can I have a show of hands, please? We got there. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you, Simon. And just as a little footnote on that, you'll notice James Faulkner, the author of that report, just to send out our congratulations to James. He is our apprentice planning policy officer. He has been selected by Anglia Ruskin University to receive a student award for his work, what he's been completing. So we're very lucky to have James, and many congratulations to him for that. So swiftly moving on, so I can have a breather. Item number 9, age-friendly communities, Councillor Ashby. Thank you.
Hopefully a less contentious item, be gentle. This paper seeks your political support for this council to become part of the UK network of age-friendly communities. This report sets out the case for developing a clear, strategic vision to ensure our communities become more inclusive, supportive and empowering for older residents. It's not a standalone piece, it's a core priority within our successful Mindful Towns and Villages programme, and it aligns closely with the World Health Organisation's internationally recognised framework for age-friendly communities. As many of you will know, Norfolk and Waveney has an older population than the national average, and in Breckland the average age continues to rise. This is not a challenge to shy away from, but an opportunity to be ambitious, to innovate and to design a community that works for everyone. Being age-friendly is not just about older people, it's about creating places where all generations can live well, participate fully and feel valued. It's about accessible services, inclusive spaces and ensuring people can contribute to work in volunteering and in community life throughout their lives. The report in front of you offers the following: a practical framework based on the WHO's age-friendly cities model, a clear alignment with our Inspiring Communities priorities and the Breckland Health and Wellbeing Partnership, a commitment to listening to older residents and embedding their voices in how we design services, and finally, a set of tangible, actionable steps across 8 key areas, all of which we'll deliver through our Mindful Towns and Villages programme. By adopting this report, we will take a bold step forward as a forward-thinking council, one that supports independent, active and healthy lives for our older residents, reduces pressure on health and care systems by focusing on prevention and community-based support, builds stronger, more resilient neighbourhoods by empowering the voluntary and community sector, and opens the door for us to join the UK network of age-friendly communities, learning from others and amplifying our impact across Norfolk. So today I'm asking you to support 3 things: endorse the Age-Friendly Communities report and its recommendations, commit to co-producing an age-friendly action plan with older residents, champion age inclusivity with our own wards, helping to remove barriers and unlock opportunities for everyone. Let's show that growing older in Breckland is not something to fear, but something to be proud of. Let's lead the way in building a place where everyone, no matter their age, can thrive. Thank you for your time and your contribution and your continued commitment to making Breckland a truly age-friendly community.
Thank you, Councillor Ashby. questions, comments? Paul, then Phil, and then Linda. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Tristan. I absolutely wholeheartedly support the recommendation with one really minor proviso. I think being age-friendly does not necessarily require us to be political. I think being age-friendly is to do all of those things that you outlined so eloquently, and because it's the right thing to do. Perhaps there are reasons why the recommendation requires us to grant political support, but for me, it should just be support, because that is the right thing to do.
I couldn't agree more. And speaking as one of those people, unlike Tristan, who's probably reached this sort of age-friendly community, he's got a number of years to go, I believe, before he becomes part of that. I just want to also reflect that being an age-friendly community isn't just about being elderly or mature, it's about any age. And whilst we do have an ageing population in Breckland, we also have a very vibrant, youthful population. And I think it's important for all of us to recognise that everybody in Breckland has a place to play in our society. But I really do support this. Social exclusion for those who are elderly and maybe living on their own is quite a significant problem for many, many people. And I think this particular initiative demonstrates that we do take very seriously the fact that people in our district do have tensions, they do have challenges, they do have problems that they struggle sometimes to contend with. And if we can do something, however small that might be, to enable people to live a more fulsome and wholesome life, I think we should do it. So I thoroughly endorse this. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. As a very ageing ex-older people's champion for Breckland, I totally agree with what the two gentlemen just said. The word political should be taken out. This whole thing with age-friendly, Phil's absolutely right. I'm thinking about, some of the people in the room will know this, about Meeting Point at Dereham, who do so much work with young people. And for those young people, they have adopted grandparents there. So it is a multi-age thing. But I am wondering, Tristan, has there been any consultation with such groups as Meeting Point in Dereham and in the other market towns and villages?
Thank you. As contained in the report, this now, if approved, will give us the opportunity to go out and have that dialogue to ensure that the action plan we produce has got the input of all the appropriate stakeholders so that it becomes their plan. I hope that's helpful.
Thank you, Deputy Leader. I believe this is a no-brainer. It's a brilliant plan to bring together. It's, as I can see it, it's bringing outside authorities together to work under one umbrella, and in my opinion, that then will stop people falling through the cracks, which they do in some of our isolated villages, and if they're not picked up by their neighbours, some people are suffering. And a note as well with the and a colleague, Councillor Turner, said as well, the young people, some of the agencies coming together, individual young people struggle as well with mental health and everything else, and if they can be helped at that stage, then it's better for their future going forward. So I commend what you've done, and thank you and the communities team.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I totally agree with everything that's been said, and Tristan, thank you for thinking of us.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Tristan. I see in the report you mentioned welfare officers. We are appointing new welfare officers into this system, I assume, and I hope that they will help us pick up the more remote folk. I represent a rural ward, as you know, and it is a rural ward where some people live in very rural situations, and they do often seem to get forgotten. I had an email just this morning from a gentleman who lost his wife earlier this year. He's in his upper 80s, and he said in that email, the main thing is I get so lonely. And that's something I think that we do need to address if we can. And it's difficult. I know it's not going to be easy, but if you can inspire those welfare officers to take that on.
Fully support the report. I'd just like to say that there's also a piece in it where town and parish councils need to be involved with, I read it in the report and I thought I'm glad that that's actually going to run up, because town and parish councils have visibility of quite a lot of people and the issues that they're coming in with. So well done, and I fully support it. Thank you.
Any other questions? So, where are we? Sorry, Tristan. So the recommendations before us are on page 173 of the agenda pack. Is everybody, or are you moving them forward, Tristan?
I'd like to move the recommendations forward with the proviso of removing the word political.
Yep.
Thank you.
Everyone content with those? Agreed. Lovely. Thank you. Thank you for that, Tristan. Okay, item number 10, please. The quarter for 24-25 finance report. Councillor Cowan, please.
Thank you, Chairman. So at the start of the year, Council agrees the budget for the coming 12 months. And on a quarterly basis, we report the actual progress against our anticipated budget profile. This year has been challenging, and you'll no doubt recall that in quarters 1 to 3, I've been reporting what was tracking as a worsening position. In other words, we were projecting a shortfall on our budget position compared with that which was anticipated when the budget draft proposals were prepared in the latter part of 2023, ahead of the formal budget setting in February 2024. You will also no doubt recall that during the year, as we progress through the agreed programme of works and services, the budget versus actual position tightens. And I'm here today to report that the financial report for the year ended 31st of March 2025 shows a positive outcome as shown in Appendix A, and the detail is discussed in Table 2 to that appendix. The papers also show that we have overachieved, that's Table 3, our anticipated progress against the efficiency targets that we set. In Appendix A, Section 2, progress is identified against the approved capital spend for the year, and that shows that the Council achieved a spend of 46% against that which was budgeted, and the variations to that spend, i.e. the carryovers, are identified in Table 2. Section 3 of the appendix shows our Treasury position, and you will note that as a result of prudent fiscal management, the yield on investments has outpaced our budget projections, and this has enabled us to support other local authorities, as shown in the counterparty pie chart. And as a consequence, we have proposed a revised capital budget and associated funding for the year 2025 to 2026 capital programme, details of which are identified in Appendix B. Thus, we have before us two recommendations. One, a recommendation to Cabinet that the report and appendices be noted, and two, that the recommendation to full Council that the revised capital budget and associated funding for the 2025 to 2026 capital programme as detailed in Appendix B be approved, and that the final capital outturn and funding for 2024-2025 as detailed in Appendix C also be approved. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Phil. So we've got the that the report and the appendices be noted, but do we have any questions or comments for Phil? Councillor Hewitt, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Phil, I just echo a point you said earlier on, that for the last few quarters, all of your Cabinet colleagues have been acutely aware that we have been in a worsening budget position, and now we are suddenly in a better position. And I think that in some ways, it's not the position that we need to clarify, it's the interpretation of that position, which is going to cause a lot of confusion and a lot of challenges when we proceed further with this. I think in many ways, there is a real scope here for misunderstanding what these numbers are actually saying. There's an accounting challenge. We can't anticipate income. Our finance colleagues will tell you that, and yet we're suddenly showing more income at the end than we thought, but that's an accounting challenge. There is a real budget challenge in terms of the timings, capital, revenue, and allocation of budget. But for me, this report really just shows the impact of exceptional items on our performance. By exceptionals, one-offs. We've generated almost £1 million of surplus interest income, but that's only because interest rates are high and perhaps will continue to be high in the result of the current macroeconomic environment and certainly the geopolitical environment. But also the reason why our interest is so high is that our capital spend has almost ground to a halt because of the uncertainty in terms of many of the capital projects around that. Clearly, this council has delivered with our efficiency savings, but clearly we cannot rest on our laurels in terms of this performance because everything is up for grabs. The LGR is up for grabs. We've got to start actually making the capital investments, in which case, by definition, our income numbers will come down as a result of interest overall. And we've also got to be forward-facing in terms of the really challenging environment, not just with LGR, but the really challenging environment in terms of what's going on. I'm delighted in terms of the outcome of the report, but my only challenge, and perhaps a question for you, is that people need to interpret this report in the way it needs to be interpreted. We haven't done brilliantly. What we have done is just reflected some quite lucky circumstances, but the real challenge now is what happens over the next couple of years.
I couldn't agree more. The underlying performance of the council is still one of a challenge, and we look at planning and building control services, for instance, where fee income is still down, not because of anything we're doing, but because the market is dictating that's what's happening to us. We look at health and housing, and again, nothing to do with us directly, but indirectly, it does form a burden on this council. We are very fortunate that we have the capital reserves in order to lend to other local authorities, and you can see from that counterparty pie chart that we are supporting significant numbers of local authorities with the capital that we actually have at our disposal. And because interest rates are at a particularly high level, we're able to generate sufficient revenue as a consequence, which is actually very useful. But if we had been able to complete all of our capital programmes, then we wouldn't have had the £8 million that's sitting there as cash to be able to use to some extent in supporting that. So yes, you're quite right. The underlying trend is still one of a challenge to every local authority. We're very fortunate that our sort of prudent financial management over the last 20 years has brought us to this position where we still have the reserves available to us to be able to use them in the best possible way. And that actually reflects in the final figures. As you can see, we're actually showing a surplus of £562,000. So it's good news, but it is a short-term good news because those challenges will still continue as we move forward. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Clyburd?
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to note the big increases in our revenue generation from garden waste and from commercial property. That clearly demonstrates the entrepreneurial council that we are. A question on the garden waste, that 1.3 million income, is that after collection costs or before collection costs? And if it's before, what's the net surplus? Thank you.
I'm going to defer that to my colleague sitting opposite, our Section 151 officer, Alison.
Within the budget for Serco, we don't actually split out the costs of the different types of collections, so that's the gross income there.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, so you've heard the recommendations from Phil. Is everybody content that we note the report and that we recommend those two recommendations to council? Yep. Agreed. Thank you. And item number 11, budget amendments. Back to you, Phil.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, we are in a particularly strange situation today that having just agreed everything that we've agreed before, that we're now going to propose an amendment. So, colleagues, it is rare for this council to seek at this stage in our fiscal year, i.e. June, having agreed the budget in February, to amend the budget that was agreed, but we find ourselves in uncharted waters as a result of the proposed changes to the structure of local government. The background to the paper before us in paragraph 1.1 sets out the detail that has led Team Breckland to prepare the budget amendments that we have before us today. It is worth reminding ourselves at this stage that Breckland Council enjoys an enviable reputation for providing high quality services and support to our residents and businesses, whilst charging the lowest district council tax. It is with that same philosophy that underpins all that we have achieved in the past 25 years or so that we're approaching the change that central government is imposing on us all. Thus, as a departure from my usual presentation technique, I believe it's imperative to quote from the paper before us to reinforce our aims and objectives at this time. So Breckland has identified several key priorities. Number one is protecting residences and businesses, making sure they continue to experience the best possible support and services now and into the future. Number two, supporting staff and service continuity, ensuring business as usual is not compromised through a period of change, and ensure Breckland staff are as well placed to succeed in transition as possible. Enabling new unitaries to have the best chance of success, collaborating with other Norfolk districts on the most compelling case possible, and ensuring a strong financial legacy from Breckland. And avoiding waste and maximising efficiency, avoiding making decisions and investments which could be abortive or costly. So the paper before us today identifies the changes proposed in the capital and revenue budget streams, where we are proposing a methodology that will help us to ensure that residents and businesses in Breckland, who will become part of a larger and more complex unitary authority, will enjoy the benefits of the key priorities that we're now setting, and that we can provide stability and certainty over available resources in the countdown to April 2028. Thus, the recommendation before us today is that Cabinet recommends to full Council: 1, that the revised capital programme at Appendix A be approved; 2, that the revenue budget amendments and associated funding at Appendix B are approved; 3, that the permanent establishment of the authority be increased by 10 full-time equivalent staff; and 4, that the Thetford Plan for Neighbourhoods funding and spend is included in the amended capital and revenue budgets as detailed in Appendix C. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Phil. And just to be mindful that there are confidential details relating to Appendix B in the report. So if members are minded to discuss Appendix B in any detail, we need to cover this off under the additional agenda items on our pack of 13 and 14 and take it below the line and exclude press and public. So I will be looking to Teresa and Max to tell me when we get to that. But if anybody has any questions or comments which can keep it in this forum, you can ask now. If you do wish to discuss, we can put it below the line if that is your desire also. No? Okay, so we've heard the recommendations then from Phil. Are we all content and happy that we carry them? Lovely, thank you very much. So in that case, thank you for that, Phil. The next meeting is to be held on the 22nd of September 2025 at 9:30 in this room, in the Anglia room at Elizabeth House. I'll ask Teresa to stop live streaming, and thank you very much for your attendance today. Thank you.